again, welcome to our second video. Today we're going to be discussing planning. Planning for your Disney holiday.
One thing that comes up a lot is planning 100% necessary? Can you go to Disney World spontaneously without no prior planning and have a great time?
You can.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think you can. You can go there and have great time without planning, but I think you'll have the best time if you plan.
Or if you do just a little bit of planning, just somewhere in between.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs planning now, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we'll talk about, in greater detail as the video goes on.
I mean, I don't think that you necessarily have to follow an absolute plan where everything is it's all set in concrete and nothing is flexible. I think a plan should be flexible, and I think, just a couple of nice dining reservations and some fast pass booked is sufficient. But yeah, personally, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of planning. I do a lot of planning.
I let her do my planning.
If you plan, then I just think you know what you're doing every day. You know what time you've got to be up. You've got your fast pass book, so there's less waiting for rides and dining and stuff. You get the nicer choice of restaurants.
Yeah, and you don't miss out on things. And there is a lot at the moment that is very popular that if you don't plan and you don't book, you're gonna probably miss out on. Be Our Guest restaurant, for instance. If you haven't booked Be Our Guest before you go, the likelihood is you're not going to be able to eat there.
Some of these rides, some of these restaurants are incredibly popular, especially at certain times of the day. For instance, places like Ohana, which is a really fun restaurant, can kind of get a little bit booked up towards the later evening, 8 o'clock, because people can watch the fireworks from the restaurant through the windows, and that's when they want to go. So, with a little bit of research and a little bit of prior planning, you can have just those extra special experiences, which you might miss out on if it's more of a spontaneous trip. But honestly, I still think if somebody said, do you want to go tomorrow?
I'd go.
Yeah, I'd go. I wouldn't worry about the fact I hadn't planned anything. I'd just go. So, it's not necessary, but if you're going to do a bit, then I think it's worth it.
She's bringing her planning book over.
I like to plan on one of these. This is just like one of those weekly, let me see if I can put it forward. It's just like a weekly Monday, Tuesday, with some extra bits on there like notes and things you want to do and stuff. This isn't specially made for Disney planning. It's just a weekly planner.
It just happens to have Mickey Mouse all over it.
It's just a lucky find. But I think that's fine. I just plan out my weeks on that.
At 9 o'clock, you've said you're going to Epcot. You're going to eat lunch at Katsu Grill
in Japan.
Back to the hotel for a pool afternoon, and then in the evening you're going to Disney Springs. And then you've booked your fast pass.
I have my own special little code, which is why Gemma's finding it a little bit hard to read, is because I've got lots of little acronyms and stuff going on, which are unique to me. But I think sort of like this sort of plan, but you can do it on the computer as well or on your phone. It doesn't really matter. I just like pens and paper.
Colours.
Yeah, I just like that. But that's certainly one way of doing it.
You book your hotel as far in advance as you want, I suppose, but your flights, you can't book your flights until 11 months before you plan on
unless they're direct.
Or with a package like Virgin, say.
You can probably get like 18 months ahead with some of the big package holiday sites like Virgin.
Thomas Cook, all them.
So those ones you're going to be able to book early, but then you're going to be limited to direct flights with that particular company, and that can sometimes bump up the price a little bit. If you travel in direct like Gemma and I do, to save a bit of money, you can't book until 11 months before, but that is just your flights. Hotels, like you say, can be booked a little earlier, especially things like villas and condos, because they tend to get booked up quite fast, I'm noticing. So there is that, and cars can be booked about 12 months, 11 months in advance as well. So that's probably when you can book. Should you book that early?
Yes, I think you should, because the planning is actually part of the fun. Because most people will go for 2 weeks. They say the average is a 2-week holiday.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, 2-week holidays come and they go, you know. So I think the planning and the talking about it and the discovering things and looking things
and
up.
making those ADRs and making those ADRs dining reservations
adds to the excitement.
It does, it really does. And I also think you should book that early, because you tend to get better deals, better prices, than if you leave it too late. Because sometimes if you're leaving it quite late, things sell up. You don't get the hotel you wanted, or the flights can get a little bit more expensive. I'm sure there can be deals found at certain times of the year when it's not quite so. But the thing is, Disney's busy all year now, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, Christmas, for example, is super busy.
Yeah.
Really super busy.
It's busy a lot now through the year as well. I think I was talking to one cast member who said even September and stuff is really busy, and that they were noticing maybe early February, before spring break, there was a little bit of a dip, but not that much. So I think, leave it too late and you could end up a little bit disappointed. I always like to book on the early side of things, about direct flights and indirect. So what do you prefer?
I'm not really, if I'm honest, all that bothered. As long as I get there, I don't really mind how I get there. I tend to book indirect flights now because they are slightly cheaper. And also the going through customs is sometimes a bit easier outside of Orlando Airport.
I mean, I'll just share a couple of my experiences. I flew with a holiday company direct. I won't name and shame the holiday company, but I flew with them direct, and it cost me a lot of money per person. I think it was about £1,200 per person. And when we flew out of the UK around about the 11 o'clock in the morning time, we touched down in Orlando fairly early afternoon, but we were held on the tarmac for quite a while before we were allowed to get off the plane. And when we were allowed to get off the plane, we sort of went into the customs hall, which had the biggest queue I think I've ever seen. I think it was the longest queue of my holiday, and we stood in that queue for maybe 2.5 hours before we were finally allowed through to get our cases. And then we picked up our cases and dropped off our cases, caught the monorail across, picked up our cases again, got the car. And since the point where we landed to the point where we left the hotel, the airport, we were looking at sort of like a time period of about 3 to 4 hours. No joke. So we didn't get to our hotel until sort of quite late in the evening. Now, on the other hand, we flew indirect, sorry, yeah. And we left London at 7:30 in the morning. We flew to Washington. We were in Washington for an hour and a half on a connection, which was brilliant. We went through customs there. We were first. There was no one in the queue. Everybody was first in the queue. Straight through. Got on our next flight to Orlando, which was about 2 hours. Got off in Orlando at 2:50 in the afternoon. Went straight through to the monorail to catch it over to get our cases, get the car, and we were out within half an hour.
And that's just because customs was already done in another city.
So although direct is sometimes more appealing, especially with little kids, because you haven't got the change, I think if you're willing to travel indirect, there can be a lot of benefits to that as well.
Definitely. Definitely.
So on or off-site hotels?
So when we say on or off-site, we mean, do you want to stay in Disney, in a Disney resort, or do you want to pick another hotel or villa or condo that maybe is on International Drive or Kissimmee or Davenport or wherever? This is a really hard question for me because I don't think there is an answer.
I like both.
I like both. I love staying on resort. There is something
Magical.
really magical about it. That they have the most efficient transport system to get back and forth to all the theme parks, water parks, Disney Springs. And it just seems to have little touches that other hotels don't seem to have.
That magical Disney theme in.
I don't know how Disney do it, but they do it.
Yeah, I think they got it down
bit
to
of magic
T,
dust.
haven't they now? But I go by, like, if I'm going for a week or maybe 10 days or something, then I'll try, if I can afford it, to stay at a Disney resort. If I can.
Yeah.
But if I'm going for an extended period of time, I know I'm going to get tired of sharing a room with a teenager. So that's when I'll look to book a condo.
Yeah.
Or I would look to book a villa if I could, if the price is right.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of go by the length of time that I'm staying there. But I definitely like both. I haven't got a preference for one or the other. I do think you're right, though. You get that little bit of extra Disney magic staying at a Disney resort.
Yeah, I recently stayed at Port Orleans Riverside. That was lovely. The theming is all sort of Princess and the Frog, so it's stunning.
And I joined them just for the one night, didn't I? Because I was staying at a condo with my husband and my son, and we joined you at Riverside for one night, and I stayed in one of the royal rooms, which is like princess themed. And had fireworks on the bed, backs, and oh my god, it was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really lovely. But the whole resort was just gorgeous.
Yeah. And the little touches as well seem to be things like in the Port Orleans resort, you can get a boat, a river cruise a river taxi from the hotel down to Disney Springs, which is lovely, really. It's kind of stress-free, you don't have to drive, you
have
can
a little drink,
have a little glass of wine with your meal in the evening.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
And they've all got little things like that. We're staying for Halloween, we're going at Halloween, and we're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I got a fantastic deal on that because we booked again very early. We got in there really quick. Look out for those deals. Disney like to bring out deals early in the year.
Yes.
So we managed to get really good. So I'm really looking forward to that. So you're like the Port Orleans, they benefit from having like the river taxi to Disney Springs. Animal Lodge got its own little savannah where you can sit outside and watch the animals. All Disney hotels seem to have
something.
Something to make them that little bit more special. I think if I could stay at any though, where would it be? Which Disney resort? Any. I'd do any of the Disney resorts.
Where would you stay?
Where would you stay?
Or where would I? I would probably choose.
It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, I would. Polynesian, probably.
Ooh,
I think.
Yes.
I think I really, really would like to stay at the Polynesian. It is, for me, it's just so pretty. You walk in through the lobby, and it's got the little waterfalls, and
you could get Dole Whip there.
You can get Dole Whip there.
Yeah,
it's just ever so pretty.
They have Trader Sam's.
Where would you stay?
I think I'm just going to go big because I may as well go big on this because I'm never going to be able to really afford to stay there. So I'm just going to go for it in my imagination. It's going to be Grand Floridian.
Oh, it is gorgeous.
Walk around the grounds of, we often go just to walk around the grounds and to pretend we're staying there. We just wander around as if we are staying there. Look at us, if we can afford this. Yeah, and we might have a meal there.
Yeah,
now and again, or go for afternoon tea. That's another one of my favourite things to do is go for afternoon tea at the Grand Floridian. Yeah, definitely the Grand. But like I said, it's a dream.
It is a dream.
It's the dream if I win the lottery. So what do you think then? People get really confused about why people book their ADRs or advanced dining reservations 180 days or 6 months in advance. Why have you got to book your Disney restaurants 60 days in advance?
To get a table.
Exactly. Quite frankly, I don't think it's a case of anything except for people love to plan their Disney holidays, don't they? And the minute that 180-day countdown starts, people are like, I definitely want to book now because this is fun and it's in preparation for my big holiday, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
And therefore, lots of the best restaurants in particular sell out really well. Not so they get booked up really quick.
Yeah, they do. And it's not only that, it's I find it fun when you've booked your holiday and say you're going for 14 days and you say, right, I'm going to do 5 restaurants, sit down meals in the evening during those 2 weeks. And I find it fun to just go through all the restaurants they have there, looking at them, looking at the menus, deciding which ones suit you best.
And we all have our favourite
Favourites.
restaurants. The only problem is quite often my favourite restaurant is the same as, you know, a million other people. So we're all like fighting for the same restaurant at a similar sort of time.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, when those ADRs come out, it's no wonder really people just get on the computer and start booking them up and everything. So it's fun to do.
And the other thing with ADRs as well, why people will book really early, is a lot of ADRs are sort of character dining, you know? So the Cinderella's Royal Table, for example, which is inside the castle in Magic Kingdom, a lot of people will want to do that, especially if you've got little ones. So it does book out really quickly. Everyone's on and trying to get dinner with Cinderella.
When my little boy was small, we used to book Chef Mickey or Tusker House or something like that, purely and simply because we didn't want to queue for the characters in the parks.
Oh yeah, because the queues for the characters in the park tend to be the biggest.
They tend to be really long. So we'd be able to say, oh no, we're going to see Mickey on so-and-so night at Chef Mickey's. So we haven't got a queue for him here.
Yeah.
So it can be really handy, so that I can see why people book it. What about this Fast Pass though, and this 60-day the Fast Pass? Or you only get 60-day early with the Fast Pass if you're booking
Staying on resort.
with a Disney resort,
Yeah.
Otherwise it's 30 days.
So you've got to book your Fast Pass.
If you really want to do
If there's-
some of the rides on a Fast Pass.
Yeah.
You
If
need
you
to
don't
book
want to
them
queue,
early.
if there is some rides that are always going to have a bit of a queue, and if you don't like to queue, then you're going to need to get on that computer and book your Fast Pass.
Things like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Flight of Passage in Pandora,
Anything that's new.
Soarin',
Yeah.
you know, or the really popular ones.
Yeah.
If you really want to do something, then just say, right, that day we will go to Magic Kingdom in the morning and I will book Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yeah.
And that way at least you know you're going to be definitely doing it. Otherwise you're going to go there and you're going to go, oh, do I want to queue 160 minutes? For instance, we just went to Animal Kingdom and we booked a Fast Pass for Flight of Passage, didn't we? But we could only get one for the one day. So we did Flight Passage and we thought it was an awesome ride. It was really,
so
really good.
Amazing.
So I wanted to do it again. So me, my husband and my son decided we just queue, and it was 110 minutes. And it turned out to be near enough the full 2-hour wait. So, but we were willing to do it, but we saw plenty of people who sort of looked at that and, oh no, I can't be bothered to do that, you know. So it's a pretty good ride to be missing out on. So these things are worth booking
And I
in
think
advance.
if you book a Disney holiday, 9 times out of 10 there is something new there, because every year they seem to be adding on,
Or
bringing
changing.
something out,
Yeah.
a new ride, a new parade, a new something or other, and with that comes queues.
Yeah.
So if you're not up to waiting, then you're going to need to pass.
When you buy your tickets, because people ask me all the time, what tickets do I have? I personally, because I like to go as often as possible, I'm an annual pass holder. So I think if I spend, they're about £700 each, if I can remember correctly, £700 or £800 each for me, my husband, and my son. But because we go a couple of times, it makes it worth it. Whereas you've just got the 21 day, is it? Ultimate ticket?
Which is about £419 each. Well, if you go two times a year, you know, which I know Most people don't, but my sister Rachel does. You may as well get your annual pass.
Yeah,
don't you, then?
definitely.
Because you've already spent.
And you get other benefits on the annual pass, like for instance, I've been having, I know it's like a limited benefit, but I've been having 20% off my shopping, 20% off in restaurants, and even 30% off in some restaurants.
Yeah.
So it really does, and free parking as well. It gives you
Yeah, free parking's great because it's like $20 now to park there.
$20 a day. Yeah.
But there isn't. We do know there's not many people who get to go to Disney more than
Once every few years.
once every 3 years.
That's how we started. It was like a big, massive saving.
And now we just spend
thing.
all our money on it.
And yeah, no, just I just give up now. We won't eat for the year. No one's going to believe that. All right. So anyway, best tickets to buy. It really is personal. Again, if you go more than once a year, I would say get the annual pass. If you're going once a year, then go for, if there's very little difference between the 14 night and 21, just go for the 21. But just a little known fact, you wouldn't have known, would you? If you do get those ultimate tickets, every day you can have a free game of mini golf.
Ooh. And we love the mini golf.
And the mini golf is great fun.
It is great
They
fun.
got 3 mini golf courses, so you can go to any one of those, show them your ultimate tickets or show them your magic bands, and you can have a free game.
Yeah. And then there's other tickets you can buy. So there is Universal. They call that Flex ticket.
Yeah.
And then there is SeaWorld. If you want to do Discovery Cove, then your SeaWorld, your Busch Gardens, Aquatica come with those tickets.
Yeah.
But all those tickets to buy together can be quite pricey. So maybe some people might say, it's one or the other, or we're gonna choose. And that comes down to personal preference. If you've got children with you, probably would prefer maybe like a Disney holiday. If you have got teenagers and you're a bit of a thrill seeker, you might prefer Universal.
You don't have to get them all. You can we didn't do Universal this year. It was just a little bit too expensive to go a couple of times a year and do Universal as well. So we're skipping Universal for a year and just doing the Disney parks. But I mean, what we're hoping to do here with this channel is really, this is just our introductory videos, isn't it? What we're hoping is that anybody who decides they might like to watch might leave us some comments with some questions. We can, because we've accumulated a bit of knowledge now, haven't we? We've been travelling there for 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been 13, 14, 15 times in 10 years. And, we've stayed all different seasons and for different parties, done different excursions like Wild Africa Trek and all the different things Disney has to offer on top of. So what we're hoping for is really for you out there to give us topics that you'd like us to discuss, and we'll discuss the benefits and the pros and the cons of doing these different things and the value for money. These are just our introductory videos, really, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah.
But I think we'll put in some of our favourites as well. Should we do some of our top 10s or top 5s?
Yeah, because they're fun.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we'll leave you now. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope that you'll come back and see us again. Hopefully we'll improve with time. Give us a chance. It's early days. So thank you once again, and we'll see you soon.